Let's get one thing clear. Real love doesn't confuse you. It doesn't break you down or leave you guessing. It builds you up. And in a world where the word love is often thrown around loosely, it's important to understand what a real man or woman will never do to someone they genuinely care about. Here are 5 things a real partner will never do to you. Respect is one of the most fundamental pillars of a healthy relationship, and yet it's also one of the most overlooked. In the early stages of any connection, it's easy to get caught up in charm, attention, and the excitement of being wanted. But over time, how someone truly values you will be revealed, not through what they say, but how they consistently treat you, especially during conflict, stress, or moments of vulnerability. A real partner will never make you feel small to make themselves feel big. They won't use sarcasm as a weapon or disguise hurtful words as just being honest. There is no justification for degrading language or tone that cuts deep, not even in moments of frustration. Everyone experiences anger, but not everyone allows that anger to become a license for cruelty. The difference between a reactive partner and a respectful one lies in self-awareness and emotional maturity. One lashes out to win an argument. The other pauses to protect the connection. A real partner is emotionally intelligent enough to handle disagreements without destroying your spirit. They won't weaponize your insecurities. The things you've shared in confidence, your fears, your past, your doubts, won't be used against you when they're upset. Those parts of you are held with care, even in hard moments. If you've ever been in a situation where your personal struggles were thrown back in your face, then you know the kind of damage that causes. It erodes trust, undermines safety, and plants seeds of self-doubt that are hard to unroot. Respect means knowing someone's emotional vulnerabilities and choosing never to exploit them, even when you're hurting too. Real respect also means not embarrassing or humiliating you, not in private, and certainly not in public. It means understanding that love should never cost you your dignity. There's a quiet strength in people who remain composed and kind, even in disagreements. These are the individuals who will hold your hand in tense moments, who speak to understand rather than accuse, who lower their voice rather than raise it, because they know that nothing good ever grows in an environment of fear or dominance. This doesn't mean that a respectful partner is perfect. No one is. But when they do cross a line, they recognize it. They apologize without deflection or blame. They're open to growth and willing to change behaviors that hurt you. Respect isn't about never making mistakes. It's about how quickly and sincerely someone works to make it right. It's about making you feel safe enough to express when something felt off, and trusting that your voice will be heard without defensiveness or dismissal. A real partner knows that respect isn't seasonal. It doesn't show up only on the good days. It's there when you're exhausted, when you're misunderstood, when life is chaotic, and when things don't go according to plan. Respect stays when emotions run high and patience runs low. It's in how they talk to you after a long day. It's in how they react when you're not at your best. It's in how they speak about you when you're not around. You shouldn't have to wonder how you're being talked about behind closed doors. Respect ensures your name is safe in their mouth. When someone truly respects you, it's felt in your body. You don't walk on eggshells. You don't live in fear of emotional outbursts. You don't have to over-explain your feelings just to be taken seriously. Respect allows space for you to be fully human, messy, complex, evolving, without the fear of being punished for it. In that kind of environment, you grow, you thrive. You speak freely and dream boldly because you're not worried about being torn down for it. It's not about perfection. It's about emotional safety. It's about trust. And it's about knowing that even when you disagree, the foundation of mutual regard doesn't crack. A respectful partner doesn't just love you in theory. They love you in practice, in tone, in behavior, in patience, in presence. If you're in a relationship where you're constantly second-guessing your worth, wondering if you're asking for too much by wanting to be spoken to kindly, or feeling anxious about sharing your needs, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself, is this love or is this emotional survival? You deserve to be with someone who makes you feel seen, heard, and honored, not someone who makes you feel like respect is conditional. Because at the end of the day, love without respect is not love at all. It's control. It's possession. It's emotional volatility wrapped in the language of romance. But real love doesn't degrade you. It doesn't make you question your value. It affirms it, quietly, consistently, and unshakably. One of the most painful things anyone can experience in a relationship is feeling like they are not enough. When love becomes a place where your value is constantly questioned or minimized, it no longer feels like love at all. It feels like rejection wearing a mask. A real man or woman will never make you feel unworthy. Not through their words, not through their silence, and certainly not through their actions. Because someone who truly values you understands the deep responsibility that comes with being a consistent part of your emotional world. Feeling unworthy doesn't usually come all at once. It builds quietly. It starts when your ideas are dismissed, when your contributions are ignored, when you open your heart and get met with indifference. It grows when your voice is constantly talked over, when your needs are treated like inconveniences, or when your feelings are labeled as too much, too sensitive, or too dramatic. And the most damaging part is, over time, you start to believe it. You begin to doubt yourself. You start to shrink. You question your value not because it's missing, but because someone you trusted made you believe it wasn't there. A real partner will never plant those kinds of seeds in your mind. Instead, they'll be the kind of person who reminds you of your strengths, even when you forget them yourself. They'll make you feel seen, not just for your looks or what you can offer, but for who you are at your core. They won't be threatened by your ambitions or your individuality. In fact, they'll celebrate it. They'll encourage you to grow, to take up space, and to speak your truth without fear of being pushed away. Because someone who truly values you doesn't need to dim your light to feel like theirs shines brighter. There is something deeply affirming about being with someone who sees you, really sees you, and chooses to uplift you rather than compete with or belittle you. That kind of support creates a foundation where confidence can thrive. You start to breathe easier. You walk taller. You begin to dream more freely because you're no longer carrying the weight of someone else's judgment on your shoulders. When someone makes you feel unworthy, you start to hustle for their approval. You give more than you should, you overcompensate, and you begin to shape yourself into what you think they want, rather than standing firm in who you are. This kind of dynamic is not love. It's emotional survival. It's a constant state of proving and pleasing, which only drains your energy and disconnects you from your own identity. A genuine partner doesn't need you to become smaller for the relationship to work. They want you to be whole, not half. They won't make you feel like your flaws make you unlovable. Instead, they'll approach you with empathy, knowing that being human comes with imperfection. They won't judge your past, your struggles, or your doubts. They'll support you through them. They won't hold your mistakes over your head. They'll offer understanding because they know real connection comes from acceptance, not perfection. You deserve to be with someone who lights up when you walk into the room, not because of what you've done for them that day, but because of who you are. Your presence should feel welcomed, your laughter should feel invited, and your silence should still feel understood. There is a kind of peace that comes from knowing you don't have to perform for love, that you are cherished simply for being you. If you've ever found yourself constantly questioning your worth in a relationship, it's not because you lack it. It's because someone failed to see it, or worse, saw it and felt threatened by it. But the truth is, someone who really values you won't make you chase their affection. They'll give it freely. They won't make you feel replaceable or like you're always one mistake away from being abandoned. They'll stay consistent because they understand that your heart isn't something to be played with. It's something to be honored. You should never feel like you have to earn love by becoming someone else. Real love meets you where you are and still believes in where you're going. It doesn't make you doubt your worth. It amplifies it. It reminds you that you are already enough. Not because of what you do or how perfect you can be, but because of the simple, undeniable truth that you are worthy of love, respect, and kindness exactly as you are. And when someone truly sees that, you'll feel it. You'll feel it in their tone, in their attention, in the way they show up, especially when it matters most. You won't be left questioning where you stand. You won't be stuck trying to decode mixed signals or second-guess your every move. You'll know, because the love will feel safe, steady, and whole, not like a test you're constantly failing. So remember, the right person will never make you feel unworthy. If you're questioning your value in a relationship, pause and reflect. Love should never cost you your self-esteem. The right partner won't just tell you that you matter, they'll make sure you never forget it. In any relationship, our emotional needs are not luxuries, they are essentials. The need to feel heard, valued, supported, and understood isn't too much to ask. It's the baseline of genuine connection. When those needs are consistently ignored, something within you begins to shut down. You start to question not just the relationship, but yourself. You begin to feel like asking for basic care and consideration is somehow unreasonable. But the truth is, in a healthy relationship, a real partner will never treat your needs as a burden. They won't act like your emotions are inconvenient or exaggerated. Instead, they will lean in, listen deeply, and try to meet you where you are. Ignoring someone's needs sends a very clear message: that their inner world doesn't matter, that what they feel is not important enough to warrant time, attention, or effort. Over time, this kind of neglect isn't just painful, it's damaging. It causes emotional distance, resentment, and a growing silence that words can no longer fix. And yet, many people stay in situations where they are emotionally starving, hoping that if they just hold on a little longer, things will change. But here's what you need to know. When someone truly cares for you, they care about what you need. Not because they have to, but because they want to. We all come into relationships with different backgrounds, different communication styles, and different ways of showing love. But the one thing that should never be negotiable is the willingness to understand and support your partner's emotional reality. That means being curious, not critical, about what matters to them. It means taking the time to ask how they're doing, what they're feeling, and what they need, not just when it's convenient, but especially when they're struggling. True connection requires emotional presence, and presence doesn't always mean fixing things. Sometimes it just means being fully there, listening, and making someone feel seen. When your needs are ignored long enough, you start to internalize the silence. You stop asking, you suppress your feelings. You begin to put on a strong face, not because you are okay, but because you've learned that expressing your needs leads nowhere. That's not love. That's emotional survival. A real partner would never want you to live like that. They would never be comfortable knowing you're hurting in silence. They would be attuned to your energy, not just your words, and they would be mindful enough to notice when something's off. A mature partner doesn't always get it right the first time. But what sets them apart is their desire to understand and improve. They won't shut down when you bring up something important. They won't make you feel dramatic or guilty for expressing yourself. Instead, they'll listen, not just to respond, but to learn. They will take your words seriously, and even if they don't fully understand, they'll try. Because when someone values you, your needs become part of their priorities. One of the most loving things a person can do is take time to understand how their actions, or inactions, affect the person they care about. Whether it's the need for quality time, deeper conversations, physical closeness, emotional reassurance, or simply being included in decisions that matter, These are not unreasonable requests. They are expressions of how you connect, how you feel safe, and how you build trust. And someone who truly sees you will not dismiss those things just because they don't relate to them in the same way. If you constantly find yourself shrinking your needs to keep the peace, or over-functioning to compensate for someone else's emotional absence, you are slowly teaching yourself that what you feel doesn't deserve space. But it does. Your needs deserve to be honored, respected, and addressed. Not because you're needy, but because you're human. And a healthy relationship isn't built on silence and suppression. It's built on mutual awareness and effort. When someone loves you with emotional maturity, they create a space where your needs are safe to exist. You won't feel like you're walking on eggshells or auditioning for care. You'll feel secure enough to speak and confident enough to know you'll be heard. That kind of relationship doesn't drain you. It restores you. It reminds you that love isn't something you earn by being less of yourself. It's something you nurture together by showing up fully for each other, again and again. You should never have to beg for the basics. If you find yourself constantly explaining why something matters to you and receiving nothing in return but blank stares or half-hearted nods, it's not because your needs are too complex. It's because someone has chosen not to make space for them. But the right person will. They won't wait for you to break down before they pay attention. They'll ask, they'll listen, and they'll show up. Not perfectly, but consistently. Real love doesn't ignore what matters to you. It leans in, it adapts, it grows with you. Because your needs aren't a problem. They are the blueprint to deeper connection. And someone who truly wants to be part of your life will never overlook that. They will make you feel like your needs matter, because to them, you matter. In a healthy relationship, power is not used as a weapon. It's shared. It's balanced. It's rooted in mutual respect, not silent control or emotional manipulation. When someone truly loves and values you, they will never try to control your actions, your choices, your words, or your growth. They won't twist your emotions to gain an upper hand. They won't play mind games to keep you uncertain or dependent. Real love doesn't come with invisible strings attached. It offers freedom, not fear. Control often disguises itself in concern. It may sound like, "I just care about you," or "I know what's best." But when care is used as a cover for restriction, the line between love and dominance begins to blur. It starts subtly. Questions about where you're going, who you're with, how long you'll be out. At first it may seem harmless, but soon it becomes patterns of surveillance, guilt-tripping, emotional blackmail, and manipulation disguised as love. You may find yourself second-guessing harmless decisions, changing your behavior to avoid conflict, or withholding information to protect yourself from reactions that feel unpredictable. These are not signs of closeness. These are signs of control. A real partner never wants to take away your agency. They want to walk beside you. Not ahead of you, not behind you, and definitely not above you. They respect your right to make your own decisions, to have your own space, to maintain your own identity. They don't need to micromanage your life in order to feel secure in the relationship. Instead, they foster trust, understanding that love doesn't grow where fear is present. Manipulation, on the other hand, is often harder to detect. It doesn't always come with raised voices or obvious demands. It can look like passive-aggressive comments, inconsistent behavior, selective silence, or exaggerated emotional reactions designed to make you feel guilty. It's when someone shifts blame onto you every time something goes wrong. It's when they use your kindness against you. It's when they create confusion, so you begin to question your own perspective. Over time, this can deeply damage your sense of self. You begin to internalize the message that you're always the problem. You become emotionally dependent, constantly seeking approval from the same person who's undermining your confidence. A healthy relationship doesn't rely on these tactics. In fact, it does the opposite. It promotes clarity. It empowers you to trust your instincts, to speak your truth without fear of retaliation, to feel safe in your own thoughts and decisions. In that kind of partnership, you don't have to filter your words or overthink every move. You know you won't be punished for being honest, and you won't be praised only when you comply. True love is not about control. It's about contribution. It's about showing up for one another, not steering or reshaping each other. In a respectful partnership, differences are discussed, not erased. Conflicts are resolved, not manipulated, and boundaries are honored, not challenged or pushed aside. A real partner will not keep score. They won't use your past mistakes to gain power over you. They won't withhold affection as a tool to force compliance. They won't isolate you from your friends or family to maintain control. Instead, they will encourage your connections, support your independence, and celebrate your individuality. If someone loves you, they will uplift you, not dominate you. They will make room for your voice, even when it disagrees with theirs. They will be open to feedback and willing to grow. Control resists change. It clings to patterns that serve the controller. But love embraces growth, even when it's uncomfortable, because love is not threatened by freedom. It's strengthened by it. Ask yourself, do you feel safe to be your full self in this relationship? Are your thoughts welcomed or corrected? Do your choices feel like your own, or do they feel filtered through someone else's expectations and fears? If you find yourself constantly shrinking, constantly explaining, constantly tiptoeing, it's not love. That's emotional control. Being loved should not feel like being managed. It should feel like being met, fully, freely, and without conditions. When someone truly values you, they want you to feel expansive, not confined. They want you to make choices with confidence, not fear. They don't want to shape you. They want to know you. They don't pull strings. They build trust. Real love doesn't use control to feel safe. It uses communication. It uses understanding. And it offers security not through dominance, but through consistency, transparency, and care. That's the kind of relationship you deserve. One where you are not only free to be yourself, but encouraged to grow into even more of who you are. Real commitment is not just about staying when things are easy. It's about showing up when things are hard. Every relationship, no matter how deep the love or strong the connection, will face challenges. Disagreements will happen, emotions will get high, and moments of doubt will arise. But the difference between someone who's real and someone who's not is how they respond when the storm comes. A real partner doesn't run at the first sign of difficulty. They don't shut down or disappear when communication gets uncomfortable. They don't walk away without trying to understand, to fix, to fight for what you've both built. They stay. They work. They try. Walking away without trying sends a powerful message that the relationship was only valuable when it was convenient. It tells the other person that their emotions, time, and trust were conditional, and those kinds of wounds stay. They don't just hurt in the moment. They leave lasting questions. Was any of it real? Did they ever care? Was I the only one trying? But a real man or woman does not leave someone they care about with unanswered questions. They don't disappear into silence or distance without first giving the relationship a real effort. That effort looks like honest conversations, not avoidance. It looks like accountability, not blame. It looks like sitting down together and saying, "This matters to me, and I'm willing to do the work to make it better." Trying doesn't always mean fixing everything overnight. It doesn't mean that love magically erases every difference or difficulty, but trying means staying emotionally engaged. It means checking in, showing up, and staying present, even when things feel messy or uncertain. It means choosing the relationship again and again, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's tested. When someone walks away without effort, it often has less to do with the problem and more to do with their capacity to handle intimacy. Some people fear vulnerability, responsibility, or conflict. So instead of leaning in, they escape. They use silence, distance, or emotional withdrawal as a way out. But real love requires emotional courage. It requires the willingness to face hard conversations, to take responsibility for your part, and to grow through the discomfort rather than running from it. Someone who truly values you will not see effort as a burden. They will see it as a reflection of care. Even when things get hard, they will try to understand your point of view. They will ask questions instead of making assumptions. They will pause before reacting. They will reflect instead of retreating. That kind of emotional maturity is what makes relationships stronger, more stable, and more lasting over time. No one is perfect. Everyone has moments where they feel overwhelmed or unsure. But trying means being honest about those feelings instead of letting them silently destroy the connection. Trying means saying, "I'm struggling, but I still care. I'm hurting, but I want to work through this." It's those small, sincere efforts that build trust and prove that love is more than a word. It's a choice. On the flip side, when someone walks away without a conversation, without effort, and without explanation, they leave the other person with emotional pieces to pick up on their own. That kind of exit shows more about their character than it does about your worth. And while it may hurt deeply, it's also a form of clarity, because someone who can't stay and try doesn't deserve the version of you that's willing to love deeply, fight fairly, and grow honestly. A healthy relationship is a partnership. It's two people choosing each other, not just once, but again and again. And when one person stops choosing, stops trying, or stops caring, it creates an imbalance that no one should carry alone. You should never have to convince someone to put in effort. You should never have to beg for basic communication or emotional presence. The right person will give those things willingly, not just because they love you, but because they respect the connection and take it seriously. Trying looks different for everyone. Sometimes it's therapy. Sometimes it's late-night talks. Sometimes it's small gestures or changes in behavior. But at the core, it's the same. It's the willingness to show up and say, "You're worth the effort." And that kind of love doesn't vanish when things get tough. It adapts. It adjusts. It listens. It learns. It grows. When someone refuses to try, they're not just giving up on the relationship. They're giving up on the potential of what it could become. And if someone can walk away that easily, it's not your failure. It's their inability to rise to the level of love and maturity a real relationship requires. A real man or woman will never walk away without trying. Because love, at its core, is not just about how you feel. It's about what you're willing to do to protect, nurture, and grow what you've built. Effort is love in action. And real love, even in its hardest moments, doesn't quit without giving everything it has. Love is not measured by grand gestures or perfect moments. It's measured by the consistency of character, the quiet actions behind the scenes, and the way someone chooses to treat you when no one else is watching. In a world where temporary connections are often mistaken for real commitment, it's easy to confuse attention for care and charm for character. But over time, the truth of someone's intentions always reveals itself. Not through what they say, but through what they do. Real love stands firm in hard times, communicates through challenges, and honors you through action, not performance. And real people, those who are ready to love with maturity, empathy, and presence, live by a different standard. They don't hurt for sport. They don't leave when it's inconvenient. And most importantly, they don't abandon the values that build trust. Many people chase love, hoping it will fix them, complete them, or rescue them from their wounds. But love isn't meant to be a crutch. It's meant to be a mirror, reflecting back to us who we are, what we deserve, and where we still need healing. The healthiest relationships are built by two people who are not perfect, but who are willing. Willing to learn, to grow, to unlearn their past, and to give from a place of fullness rather than fear. You don't need someone flawless. You need someone honest. Someone who can say, I was wrong. I see how I hurt you. Or, I want to understand. Someone who's emotionally safe, not just emotionally available. There's a difference. You should never have to earn the basics of being seen, heard, and respected. These are not luxuries in love. They are the foundation. If you find yourself constantly negotiating your worth, explaining your boundaries, or justifying why your pain matters, you are not in a relationship. You are in a survival situation. And someone who genuinely loves you would never want to see you shrink to keep their comfort intact. They would never let you carry the emotional weight of the relationship alone. Love is not about who can give more or who can endure more. It's about mutual effort, mutual care, and mutual accountability. It's also important to understand that maturity is not measured by age, but by emotional discipline. A real man or woman knows that love without respect is manipulation. That attraction without loyalty is temptation. That presence without consistency is confusion. You deserve someone who doesn't just say they love you, but proves it. Not just when things are easy, but when it requires sacrifice, patience, or change. Because real love demands more than words. It demands responsibility. There's a pattern to people who are ready for real love. They don't belittle you when you're vulnerable. They don't disappear when you need them the most. They don't twist the truth to avoid accountability. Instead, they move with integrity. They're honest even when it's uncomfortable. They're present even when it's inconvenient. They show care not just when they want something, but especially when you need something. They don't exploit your flaws. They hold space for your healing. And that kind of emotional safety is what builds deep, lasting connection. Real love also leaves room for individuality. It doesn't try to mold you into something easier to manage. It celebrates who you are, your voice, your strength, your emotions, and your growth. In healthy relationships, your identity is not erased to make someone else feel more secure. It's honored, encouraged, uplifted. When you're with the right person, you don't have to fight to be seen. You don't have to beg to be heard. Your presence is not a burden. It's a gift. And they treat it that way. Understanding what a real man or woman will never do to you is not about creating fear or suspicion. It's about raising your standards. It's about recognizing what healthy love looks like so that you stop settling for behavior that looks like love but feels like pain. You deserve a love that is steady, respectful, kind, and mutual. And you are allowed to walk away from anything that makes you question your value. If someone constantly crosses boundaries, minimizes your voice, or disappears when things get tough, that is not your person. Because someone who is truly meant for you won't just show up when it's convenient. They'll stay when it's messy. They'll speak when it's difficult. They'll grow when it's necessary. They will never let their pride speak louder than their care for you. And most importantly, they will never do the things that break trust. Not because they're afraid of losing you, but because they truly value having you. You deserve a love that honors you, not one that hurts you and then calls it passion. You deserve consistency, not confusion. And most of all, you deserve to be loved by someone who chooses you every single day. Not just in words, but in actions, in presence, and in effort. A real man or woman will never play with your emotions, cross your boundaries, or make you feel like loving them requires you to lose parts of yourself. Real love does not demand that you shrink, settle, or suffer. It invites you to grow, to feel safe, and to stand strong in who you are. What someone does not do in a relationship is just as important as what they do. Because in those moments when it's hard, when the mask drops, and when life tests the bond, that's when true character shows. A real partner will never disrespect you, never make you feel unworthy, never ignore your needs, never control or manipulate you, and never walk away without trying. These are not just qualities of a good partner. They are reflections of someone who has done the inner work, who leads with emotional maturity, and who is ready to love in a way that builds, not breaks. You were not made to endure love that depletes you. You were made to experience love that energizes you. Love that brings peace, not panic. Love that provides clarity, not confusion. You don't have to settle for bare minimum. You don't have to beg for the basics. When someone truly values you, they won't put you in a position where you constantly have to question where you stand or what you mean to them. They will be clear. They will be consistent. And most of all, they will be kind, even in disagreement, even in difficulty, and even in moments of discomfort. Let this be your reminder that you are worthy of a different kind of love, one that is patient, steady, respectful, and rooted in truth. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be healthy. It does have to be mutual. It does have to be safe. Don't allow loneliness to convince you to stay in places that rob you of your light. Don't confuse potential with patterns, and don't allow someone's brokenness to become your responsibility to fix, especially when they're not doing the work themselves. The way someone treats you is not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of their character. And when you start loving yourself with more clarity and compassion, you naturally begin to draw clearer lines. You start saying no to things that once felt familiar. You start holding space for people who show up with integrity. You stop apologizing for your standards, and you start understanding that those standards are not walls. They're doors that filter out what doesn't belong. So take a moment right now and ask yourself, what have I been accepting that no longer serves me? Where have I been giving more than I've been receiving? Where have I silenced my voice, ignored my needs, or abandoned my truth just to keep someone close? These are not signs of love, they are signs of survival. And real love doesn't ask you to survive it. It allows you to thrive in it. If anything in your heart has stirred while listening to this, take that as a sign to reflect, a sign to realign, a sign to reconnect with your worth. Because the love you accept will always reflect the love you believe you deserve. And when you raise your standards, the right people will rise with you, not run from you. The wrong ones may fall away, and that's okay. Let them. Because your peace is far more valuable than forcing someone to stay who was never willing to grow. This is your life. This is your heart. And you don't get a second one. So protect it. Speak up for it. Fight for it when needed, and walk away when it's clear that someone else isn't willing to meet you with the same honesty and effort you bring. Love is not a battlefield where only one person is fighting. It's not a puzzle where only one piece keeps moving. Love is teamwork, not tug of war. And anyone who makes you feel like you're too much for asking for the bare minimum is already showing you they're not enough. So here's your call to action. Stop settling. Start choosing you. Make space in your life for love that is whole, not hollow. For people who pour into you, not drain you. For conversations that heal, not harm. You don't need to chase what's real. You just need to stop entertaining what isn't. Because when you finally let go of what you know isn't love, you create the space for what truly is. You are not too hard to love. You are not asking for too much. You are simply asking the wrong person. Keep growing. Keep healing. Keep believing. The right one won't have to be taught how to love you. They'll already be trying because real ones always do.